Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to Crypto News Network, DeFi's favorite CNN. And we have an AMA with Abe at Flip Token. Abe, how are you?
I am doing excellent, sir. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for being here.
You bet. It's my pleasure, and it's an honor to be on a network like yours.
Hey, very happy to be a small part of what it is you guys are doing. It's a project that I support both in concept and financially, and I'm hoping for the best for the project. And I want more people to know what it is you're doing. So let's get right into it with the first question is, how and why did this project come to be?
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of backstory first. Myself, Abe, I've actually been in crypto for quite a few years now, and I see a lot of the same stuff. And I'm not knocking any of the projects that are out there in any way, shape, or form, because I'm an investor in a lot of them, and I like the work that they're doing. But it's a lot of the same stuff. It's you invest in a project, they have some sort of utility, but they continue investing their taxes and stuff like that into marketing, and they don't really have a mechanism for generating income. And so as my friends and I were sitting around, we were talking about things that we can do to improve the space, to make something better and to make something self-sustainable. And so Ben and I were sitting there, and he said, well, what about something that generates income? How can we do something that generates income? And so we've been investing in crypto for a while, and we've been using AI and quantitative analysis to determine what to buy and what to sell and when to do that. And so we've actually been doing that for 3 to 6 months already, just to test it out. And we said, well, why don't we use this as part of a token, and then the income that's actually generated by that, put it back into the token through buys and burns, because buys and burns in our eyes really do help build that value long term and will help continue growing the project. And so that's where it started out with. And then the flipped mentality, again, it's seeing a lot of projects doing the same thing, using the same influencers out there to help bring people in, which again, I don't fault them for, because those guys do great work and they get people to buy and everything. But I call it the pay and pray method.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not interested in that. So I don't want to pay somebody, let's just say, $1,000, $1,500, and then pray that something comes out of it. Even coming into the start of this project, we, had a couple of people, Jazzy, who I think you may know out there in the YouTube space. He's a fantastic YouTuber, and we paid him, and we got some stuff out of it. But there's other people that we used in the space, not in the YouTube space, but in the influencing space, who we paid small chunks of money to. And I'm sitting over here scratching my head, and I'm like, hey, Ben, how much has the chart moved since we paid these guys? How many more people have joined the token? And so I've talked to a couple of these influencers, and I'm going to leave them nameless, but I'm like, look, we want to do things a little bit differently. We want to work with you to talk about a way to guarantee an ROI. And I'm not asking you to force people to buy our project. I don't want that in any way, shape, or form. I want people to buy the project who want to buy the project. But I also don't want to pay you $1,000 and hope that you do something. So, let's do a cool deal where I pay you like $100. And then if people join, and if people buy, and if people help the project grow, I'll pay you some more. Because again, like in the real world, we get paid to do a job. If we're doing that job great, the company I work for, we have a bonus structure, and I get paid more if we have more sales. Awesome.
Yeah.
This is them putting their money where their mouths are. And the feedback that I received from a lot of these guys, like, not interested in switching the way we do business. I want to be paid what I'm asking to be paid. And if you want to do it, do it. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Yeah. For me, clearly, I see both sides of it. It's like when you're performing a service, one shouldn't, I'm going to generalize, one shouldn't be held accountable for the success, because the recording and the processing of making a video is what it is, regardless of what your outcome is. So really, you're looking for more kind of like partnerships. And it's okay if someone doesn't want to partner. But for me, the reason why I really appreciate the way that you can handle this is me being an investor in Flip, I'm looking for a team that's going to be exercises fiduciary duties over the fund. So if you're spending money and there's no return as an investor in a project, I don't want to see that.
Yep.
So if you're only able to find someone who, if you're only looking for people who are willing to kind of more so take a partnership role in saying, well, based on what you're able to produce, then you can find that income, but you just have to prove it, then that's a win-win for everybody, I think.
Definitely. And coming from the space, I've been in the YouTube space before and all of that. And I do get that. I do understand that no matter what, it's going to take the hours to put into your video creation, and it's going to take the hours to, get the content there and support everything, plus the cost of using a platform like StreamYard and everything. Like, I get all of that. But again, thinking about the time and effort and everything put into it, even the average person at, let's just say, 25 to 30 bucks an hour, you're putting 5 to 7 hours in there. That's 350 bucks right there at 7 hours, right? Like,
yeah.
A lot of these guys are asking for, 1,000, 1,500. One of them actually quoted us 2,500 for a 40 to 60 second commercial on his live stream. I said, that's too rich for my blood. Again, I'd have to do 33 times the volume in our token to make that worthwhile.
Exactly.
And I get it. Not everybody's going to have that same mentality that we do. And I appreciate those that do, and those that don't, I encourage you to invest in the project and see what we're actually doing. Watch the growth, watch everything that, we have going on behind the scenes, and, ask those questions. We empower you to learn and grow with us.
Hey, and if you're listening, just pay attention to what you just heard. Abe told us that he knows exactly what his return would have had to have been to justify that spend. That's important.
Well, that's where and sorry for interjecting, but that's where I have a little bit of passion with this is, I'm not using token funds right now to pay for the marketing. Ben and Teddy and myself, we talked through this and we're like, look, we want to build that investment pool as much as we can for that longevity, right? If we're taking, let's just say we're making $400 to $600 a day on the investments, depending on what that daily earn is, and we're using all of that token pool is staying the same size for the investments. And, Ben and myself have been sending funds to the investment wallet from our personal investments to continue this funding. We've been doing the giveaways. We've been doing the daily buys and burns, except for yesterday. And I want to tell everybody this, and I know I told you behind the scenes, we actually took profit from that pool for the first time last night, which is $600. And we're using that for the buy and burn for the next couple of days. So that's where I'm at, man. Like I said, I exhibit a lot of passion for this, and I do things with integrity, and I brought people around me with integrity that we're making things happen, and we're doing what's right for the project at all times.
Well, that shows, and but it's going to kind of lead into the question I'm asking now, and eventually we're going to get to the issue of doxing, the integrity and the doxing. But let's talk now. You mentioned the buys and burns. I want to talk about that. Can you tell us about the tokenomics for Flip Token?
Definitely. So it's a 7% buy and sell tax. Mm-hmm. It's the same across the board. 3% of that on both ends is reflection. And so we call it revenue sharing because, again, we're trying to drive that income, and we're trying to keep it all on that centric focused. And so 3% reflections, which is cool because as you hold and those transactions and the volume goes through, it's going to continue growing your bag. I know some of the initial holders who bought in, the evening of, they're like, oh, I've gained quite a few reflections already. 3% on the buy and sells goes toward the investment wallet, which, again, we're fully transparent. We made about $1,600 in that $16,000 in that investment wallet that first run up, and immediately turned around and put that into the investments so that it'll start accruing more funds. And if you look at our website, which is flipthetoken.io, right there on the homepage, we actually have that investment snapshot. So anybody and everybody can see it. I update that by hand every single day based off of what's in our pool. And, since we started, we're at 44.75% just by having that investment pool going. And as well as I do, our volume hasn't been there. Our volume is not what's contributing to that. It's the actual work that we're doing behind the scenes with that AI investing.
That's right.
Yep. And then that last 1% is actually going to the liquidity pool. And I thought that it was important to do that. And again, the team shares that same sentiment that we continue to invest in the liquidity of this project because it continues raising that floor and it continues increasing stability for the long term, because this isn't just a short-term vision we have. It's not something that, we're going to be here for, let's just say, a month, 2 months, 6 months and just walk away. It's, when we do anything in life, we give 100% all the time. And my family can tell you that, because at times we suffer, right? We're here doing the work. We're here putting in the hours. And, life still continues around us.
Sure. I've been in the Telegram first thing in the morning and last thing at night, and seen you and the other folks from the team there of Twitter. You're responsive, both publicly and privately. You answer questions if asked very comprehensively. There's kind of not a better situation you could ask for in that regard.
Definitely. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Now, thank you.
What's that next question you got up there, sir?
The benefits of the tokenomics. So you were starting to talk about some of the benefits, and I wanted you to kind of give an overview of like the liquidity. Why invest in the liquidity? Why reflections? Why are these things important?
Definitely. So I'm going to start with that reflection pool again, just to go a little bit more in depth. A lot of projects do reflections. So it's not something that we're thinking is novel or, super creative or anything like that, but it truly is a benefit to the holders when they, diamond hand a project. And we're not asking our holders to be diamond handers if you don't want to. You come in, you buy, you sell. We thank you for the reflections, because the reflections add to everybody's bag, including the burn wallet. It adds to the liquidity pool and it adds to the investment pool. And, we wish you the best of luck going forward and hope to see you soon. We're not that type of project that'll yell at you for, selling your bag when you hit your goal, or, wanting to move on to another project because we're not hitting your goals. We get that. We've been investors for a long time. But the reflection portion of it is like a, hey, thank you all for holding. You know what I mean? 3% is not a ton, especially when spread across the wallets, but it adds up as that volume continues increasing and those transactions continue happening. The one area with that where we're kind of pushing and trying to change the way that business is done is actually with centralized exchanges. So I know we'll probably get down to this later on, and what's going on and what questions haven't you asked and stuff like that. But we've been actually in conversation with Hotbit over the last 24 to 48 hours. And one thing that I'm struggling with them is the fact that they don't offer taxes on their transactions. So, if you buy and sell and trade on Hotbit, the token itself doesn't benefit from that in any way, shape, or form. Right. And, I was trying to have that conversation with the person from Hotbit. Like, I understand it's widening the market. I understand that it's giving more people the opportunity to buy the token, but we're putting up, let's just say, $3,000. It's not $3,000 to join Hotbit, but let's just say that. Right. How are we going to get a return on that investment? And the response that I got from her was, oh, well, you'll have more people with visibility. So, no, I get that more people will see the token. But again, how is that benefiting the project? Because it's not bringing more money in. It's not helping, grow that ultimate goal that we have, which is to build that investment pool to continue the buys and burns, because the buys and burns are that ultimate function that's going to continue the growth outside of, people buying on Uniswap and buying on the decentralized side of things. And so again, her response was, well, it's going to help the bags that you have because you can bring them over to Hotbit and sell them. And my thought was, well, one, we don't have team bags. We were a truly fair launch. All of the tokens that we currently hold, which honestly, I have a small bag, I'm not going to lie, but that's because I believe in the project. I believe in what we're doing, but I'm not going to unload that bag on our holders in any way, shape, or form. That's not my intention. I'm not going to send it over to Hotbit and do arbitrage and, take the profit that they have on that side and bring it back over, because that's not going to benefit the project. That's going to benefit me personally. Right. And it's not about me, it's about we. And so the fact that they don't offer reflections, they don't offer the liquidity, they don't offer the investment taxes, it really pushes me away from that, because yes, it'll bring more people to buy the token. I get that. And her thought is, oh, well, if they transfer the token out and sell it, again, I get that 100%, but as well as I do, transferring tokens out of Hotbit isn't cheap.
Right.
And so I'm struggling with that. And that's where I'm talking with her on that. But even then, there's never going to be a winning situation if we were to look at a centralized exchange, unless they offered the ability to do taxes. And from what she's saying, quote unquote, nobody does. So tokenomics, that's the benefit of the reflection. Sorry to get off on a tangent like that, but I thought that was very valuable to understand, like the reflections and how much value it truly does bring for people. Because even if you hold, let's just say a 100 million bag, right? And we have those transactions going through, you're getting your fair share of that pie, and it's going to continue building that bag the longer you hold it. Plus, and this we'll talk about later on as well, but we do staking through Brew Labs, right? And Brew Labs has the CertiK audited contracts that are, creating the pools and everything like that. And as you stake, you still earn reflections on that. So you earn reflections while staked, you earn your reflection rewards from staking, and you're double dipping, which is amazing because that's going to help you continue your long-term growth.
That's right. You've been offering that since day one.
Yes. So that was a very huge goal of ours when launching, is we didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We wanted things to be there, ready to rock and roll, so that when game time came, we were right there in the mix. We were able to focus on what mattered, which was the community. And not going to lie, our launch wasn't 100% solid because of the taxes that we had in place. We had that 30% paper hands tax, which Uniswap apparently thought that the tax amount was too high for the sales side of things, and it hosed everything up. And so I immediately jumped on the horn with our contacts over at Brew Labs, and I'm like, guys, this isn't cool. I know it wasn't something that we had foreseen, because, you can't necessarily foresee those things. What do we do? Because, I don't want people to be upset thinking that we're a honeypot or anything like that, because again, we do things with integrity. I said, well, just drop the paper hands tax down to 20%. And that should clear things up, because they actually saw that with another token as well that they had launched. And so they were aware of the situation. They were aware of a fix, and literally within moments, we were able to adjust that tax, and it was ready to rock and roll. Now, we've gotten a little bit of conversation around the fact that our contract isn't renounced. And I'm going to tell you right now that it's been a conversation even amongst the team, like, if there's benefits of renouncing and stuff like that. But if we had renounced the contract from the start, and this was programmed in with that 30% paper hands tax, it would have turned out a lot uglier than what it did, because we wouldn't have been able to adjust it. Because the renounced contracts, you can't change those.
I can't hear you. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Did I lose you?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Man, I was going through my whole spiel on, renounced contracts and all that. So how far did you get?
Oh, you were saying that had you renounced the contract,
yes.
Yeah, there would have been challenges that you could
that 30% paper hands tax we couldn't have resolved. And so, we've talked about it now that everything's stabilized and all that kind of stuff. But even then, if we were to go to a centralized exchange and the contract was renounced, we couldn't whitelist their pools from our taxes. And so that creates another barrier of entry for those if we do choose to go down that road at a later date and time. Now, the 1% liquidity tax is, again, important for us, because I've seen tokens that struggle to continue having stability because they're not contributing to that liquidity. Yes, when people buy tokens, it goes into the liquidity pool and everything like that. But when they sell, it drops down equally as much. But if you're building that liquidity pool stronger, then the next time somebody sells, it's not going to drop down as hard. And so if you've seen our chart, when people do sell, it doesn't take a ton out of it. And so you're going from, let's see, the last sell that we had was 2 days ago, and it was for 3.34 of an ETH. And we went down from, 6 zeros, 1340. And the next buy actually put us up to 6 zeros, 1354. And so again, because of that liquidity pool that we're building over time, it's going to continue stabilizing that floor, and it's going to continue bringing it up as we go, which is another part of that 3% investment, right? When we do those buys and burns, the entire amount of those tokens that we put in there is essentially going to the liquidity pool. Let's just say we spend $300 on tokens. That $300 is hitting the liquidity pool. Those tokens are burned, so they're never able to be traded again. And it's just going to continue improving the value of the token and that floor. So that's where we see the value, as we continue to grow, and we're going to be able to burn an ETH, or we're going to be able to burn, 10 ETH, depending on where our investment pool goes over the next 6 months to a year. it's going to just continue that. I don't want to say parabolic because I would love for it to go, parabolic, but
Yeah.
it'll definitely be a steady climb.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
you don't have to worry about the liquidity being rugged out of there because we did liquidity lock it. We're sitting at basically 98.71% of them locked. Now, I locked all of the tokens even before we launched. And so I don't understand why there's that variance of it. Like I don't have anything inside of the ownership wallet or the investment wallet. So I'm intrigued as to, the reason why it shows that, but it is all locked. And I know the small little bit is only locked for 5 more months, but I'll push that lockout as well as we get there. So I'm not stressing out about that in any way, shape, or form, but we're definitely here to stay. We're definitely here to keep improving, and the tokenomics will help us get there.
Absolutely. Sounds like you've obviously thought most of this out, and you have answers that I think anybody can wrap their heads around. So let's kind of go to one of the more challenging questions, which is about being undoxed. And I am one who I like my devs doxed. I like my contracts renounced. I like my liquidity burnt. We don't have either of those yet. Again, for the record, I fully support the project and fully believe in this team. How do you get by that for the masses? I mean, I'm just me. So what about others who say, I don't know, liquidity's not burnt and the team's not doxed and so on and so forth? What do you say?
No, we definitely appreciate that sentiment. And honestly, going into this project, we fought hard with the whole undoxing versus doxing thing. And to be honest with you, in other projects, I've thought the same thing. But leading up to us getting here, there have been projects with docs devs who have also done bad things. And, if a dev has ill intentions, whether they're doxed or not, they're going to do what they're going to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so what's more important for me is my family, my safety, my family safety, and, the careers that we have, because we're all, full-time employed people outside of this space. And, people do crazy things, whether or not we do anything bad, right? Like if I continue doing business and Ben continues doing business and Teddy continues doing business and we do the stuff that needs to be done, the token keeps doing great things. But let's just say we work with an influencer that people don't like for whatever reason. And then they get frustrated at us and say, oh, well, you worked with, let's just say Joe Smith. And I don't like Joe Smith because Joe Smith does weird things. So I don't like you, and I'm going to start harassing you, and I'm going to call your work, and I'm going to say, hey, this person does weird things on the internet with whatever. Even being in the space, I've personally had death threats against me in other projects because of the fact that I took profit over time. Wow. And and they said, hey, basically, you don't believe in this project. You've, talked about this project many, many times. You were shilling the heck out of this project, but F you and F your family and F everybody and we'll kill you all. And I'm like, whoa, like, isn't the whole point of us being in this space to honestly make money?
Last I checked.
Yeah. And what I did wasn't negative in nature. Like I didn't come out and say, hey, everybody, I'm selling my tokens. Like none of that stuff. It's I sold some and that was it.
Yeah.
And I've changed since then as well. Like, I'm never, ever going to sell more than, a small percentage of my tokens. And then, as we hit levels, I'll sell a small portion of my tokens outside of this project. Right. Mm-hmm. So I've learned and grown over the last couple of years and more specifically over the last year since we've been real heavy in the market. But yeah, man, that's why we're sitting where we are. I haven't told friends or family that I'm involved in a project. It's just myself and Ben and Teddy, and we're going to live and we're going to continue doing this project as we do in our daily life, which is doing things with integrity, doing the right thing when nobody's looking, and we're being transparent about it. So, we're doing the monthly P&L, which will be coming out in approximately 11 days. So it'll actually have all of the transactions on there. It'll have, what they went to. It's not going to say, we invested in influencer A with this funds, but it will say this was put toward an influencer. This was put toward a marketing campaign. This was done for a giveaway, all of that kind of stuff. So definitely being very cognizant about that and doing things with intention to make sure that the community knows, like, we have your best interest in mind. And like you stated earlier, we are doing things with the fiduciary interest, because honestly, we have invested quite a bit of our own personal money into this project. We continue to invest our own personal money into this project, and we want to make sure it's as successful as possible going forward.
Yeah. And again, everything you're saying, if someone's listening right now, I'm thinking that they can honestly kind of feel how passionate you are about holding your word. And talking to you is, whether it's voice communication or written communication, that passion shines through consistently. So we appreciate that. Let's talk about the promotion that you have. I know you're kind of short on time. Let's talk about the promotion that you're running on Flip for Buys.
Yeah, not a problem at all. And actually, I've gained a little bit more time, so I appreciate that. I had some stuff going on, but we are good now. So as long as we need to be on, brother, we are here.
Okay.
And I did want to address that second part of your last question as well, around the liquidity and it being burned and everything of that nature. And if that's something that the community likes, because, as we've been flexible. We've listened to the community. We've taken into consideration the thoughts and feelings, and we want to make sure that we're doing what's right for the community. And if in 6 months the small portion of our liquidity unlocks and you guys as a community say, hey, let's just burn them. You know what I mean? Let's burn that 5 point whatever percent of the liquidity pool tokens. I'm happy to do that. I don't mind doing that. Again, I'm in this for the long haul. I don't want anybody to have any thoughts or suspicions or whatever that will ever do anything negative in nature. So at that point in time, happy to burn them. And then in 11 more months, when the 93.2% unlocks, I'll burn the heck out of those if that's what the community wants as well. I was actually given flack, for lack of better terminology, for locking things even before the token launched, because of the fact that if anything happened, we weren't going to be able to pull that liquidity out and relaunch the contract. It's like, yeah, but I'd rather have people feel more comfortable going into it, especially because we're not doxed.
Yeah. I mean, for the general public, there's a lot of things, doxed or undoxed. If the contract is renounced, that's then it doesn't matter. It matters much less, should I say. So any kind of assurances outside of having to personally walk through and talk to each potential investor to make them comfortable, I mean, that certainly would help, I think, in the long run.
Yep.
We do have a question from Crypto Priest. It says, what are further plans of marketing and listing?
Definitely. So we're constantly looking at marketing ideas, and I actually put that into our Telegram the other day when asked by, I think it was Mad Dog. He said, what marketing plans do you have? And I said, well, we're doing things behind the scenes like the giveaways and the buy and burns and, the buy events that, even you, CNN, you've been asking us to do, which is awesome because it helps with that engagement. We're looking at working with other marketing people in the space. We're looking at other influencers in the space. But again, we want to be very cognizant of the spend and that guarantee on ROI, because we're not just going to pay and pray like we've talked about. We want to be good custodians of the funds that we have access to, including the ones that we're contributing to this project. And so I'm talking with a gentleman again tomorrow. I talked with him this morning, and I'm going to continue the conversation tomorrow around our project. And this guy, I'm not going to name drop or anything like that, because if it doesn't end up working out, I don't want people to say, well, why? But, we're talking with him again tomorrow just to see what he has to offer, because I was upfront with him. I said, look, I don't want to just give you money and hope and pray that things are going to happen. I want to be able to work with you in the long term. I want to be able to, have you work with us like you're working with other tokens to help spread that mission and vision and the goals to improve everybody's situation. So the plans for that, again, are around continued growth. But with regards to the listing, I did hit on it a little bit, but we're trying to make sure that listing on centralized exchanges makes sense. So we like the idea of listing, but the cheapest centralized exchange that we've been able to find thus far is in the multiple tens of thousands. So between $30,000 and $50,000 to list. And they want $6,000 between ETH and our token to actually create that pool.
Wow.
And so, yeah, when you're all said and done, you're talking, $40,000 to $60,000, $40,000 to $70,000. Like, that's a lot of money for anybody. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if we're able to work it out with them where we can talk about taxes and we can talk about bringing more funds into the project itself, because again, ultimately that's what we need to do to continue the growth of this project, right? Then it's something that we can definitely walk and talk down that path. But so far, what I've seen from these centralized exchanges is the me mentality, which is, I want to grow my side of the stuff. And that's, from the centralized exchanges, like, hey, we make money off of this. We arbitrage and, we'll market make for you guys. But again, that's them making money off of the backs of our holders. And we don't like that. We want to do what's right for the project and for our holders.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, and you've heard me say this privately, but for the record, it's just, if you have green candles, man, there's nothing more showable than green candles. If you have $40,000 extra and that went into investments and burns and buybacks and the like, versus just making the token available on a different platform, it would put us so much further ahead. And it doesn't matter if this token only lives on Uniswap forever. If it's good enough, people will go to Uniswap and buy it wherever it is. Wherever they have to find it, they'll find it. And the moment that you compromise taxes, then you can't continue to fulfill the project in the way it was imagined, and you're in trouble.
Yep. And then you lose, honestly, your soul, because the soul of the project is the why and the how. And ultimately, that why and the how for this project is to give that safe space that allows people to invest their money and have it continue growing effectively.
Yeah.
So even if they buy on a swap or a centralized exchange, we're not going to be able to go in there and do buys and burns. You know what I mean? Like, that's ultimately going to negate the benefits of being a holder of Flip token, being a flipster, right? We're not going into every single exchange we list on and doing a buy and burn daily. Uniswap is where that's at.
Yeah. Ultimately, it seems, seemingly anyway, the biggest priority is to buy back as many of the tokens as you could possibly get your hands on outside of the ones that holders are holding. Like, we're not trying to thin the supply or thin the supply by just handing it out to other places where it just sits or is traded out of your hands. It's get the supply back, burn it, increase the value of the existing tokens or the tokens in circulation. So, again, it seems like we're all on the same page. When I hear you talk, every time I hear you talk, sometimes even when I'm on the roof staring down, you talk me off the roof. Like, sometimes I just look and I think, and you go through so many projects, and obviously for anyone outside is experiencing actual problems regarding harm. I don't mean in the literal way, but figuratively on the roof. You go through so many projects and you're just wanting to make sure that when you've seen pitfalls, that you're not doing the same thing over and over again. And I think the team, have developed the token in the same way that an investor would want to see, like, okay, this has failed in the past, and you're building the token in a way that's like, well, we're not going to keep doing the same things that have failed in the past.
Correct. And I've said this in my real life more times than I can count, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results.
Absolutely.
Well, that's part of the frustration that I've actually seen when launching this token is, we had everything in place except for the doxing, of course, to be a very successful launch, which I don't think we weren't successful, but we could have gone higher. And, you see other tokens that have launched around the same time, which, again, not bashing in any way, shape, or form, because I'm a positive guy. But those tokens don't offer the utility that we're offering. And they're going absolutely bonkers as far as market cap goes. They're hitting $1.5 million to 20 million market cap, and just like, but why? But why?
Mm-hmm.
So I do say Angel as well popping in. Hey, Angel.
Yeah. Angel says, "Hey, CNN and Flip Token." Angel, I don't know if you are part of the project
Nope.
here, but if you're not, we should talk. Make sure you message me, Angel, if you want some information. And if you're listening and you know from our relationship that if I'm speaking glowingly of the project, it's something that I believe in.
Definitely.
But thanks for being here, Angel.
And we both are holders of Flip Token. I've staked my bag. I love watching it continue to grow. And I know that, in private conversation, you are a holder as well. And you truly do put your money where your mouth is. And that's what I appreciate about you. And that's why I'm glad to have this partnership that we do.
Yeah. I have a stake bag. I certainly have an interest. And I want to say that I'm saying that to you who are listening so that not just to kind of help vouch for the team, but to just be transparent in terms of I do have literally a stake in the project. So I'm not totally unbiased when it comes to this project, but I'm telling you the reason why I do support and the fact that I, jumped in this project the moment that I understood what it was is because of my belief in the way that the project is situated. And so it was a no-brainer for me to join the project, and or a partial no-brainer. I was hesitant about the undoxed aspect, but I agree with what you said. Is that I've been in projects that had doxed devs that didn't turn out well, and I've been on teams with a mixed bag of devs, like some doxed and some not. So like it's all about the intention of the investment team, and what we see is that you're constantly putting forth not just time but your money and other efforts. And it's kind of like, well, if they had some other kind of nefarious end game, then this is the longest, slowest scam possible.
Yeah.
So,
and I can tell you with 100% certainty that our project has never been created or was never created for nefarious reasons. And so slow rug, long rug, any rug is not something that we even consider doing, nor will we ever consider doing. Now, speaking of rugs, I like, nice shaggy carpets and stuff like that. And to bring in shaggy carpets, we have some promotions going on, right?
absolutely.
So I'm excited about that. And
let's go. What are you offering?
Yeah, so to build on the whole, us as creators are still contributing our personal funds to do this. In talking with Ben and Teddy, we're doing $1,000 for holders, and you have to purchase during the window, which started on June the 7th, will end on June 14th. And you have to, for new holders, you have to hold 350 million tokens or more, which is $50 worth right now at the current value. And you're entered into winning that $1,000. Now, you do have to hold it. You can't just buy it and then immediately sell it, because we are checking that. We will be monitoring the decks and seeing who's buying and selling, because we want it to be fair. But yeah, for $50, you're entered in to win $1,000. Right now, that's a 1 in 5 chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's only 5 entrants at the moment.
There's only 5 entries at the moment. Yeah. Now, for those who don't want to buy because, you have your own reasons, you don't have the funds, and that's one thing that we talk about. And I think I've mentioned it in our Telegram before. I don't encourage people to spend money they don't have. I don't encourage people they can't afford to lose, like to spend money they can't afford to lose. And so if you can't afford to put money into the project for whatever reason, at least do that Flip Token bonus giveaway, which is $250. You must tag 3 friends on the post as a comment, like and retweet it. And that same day, June 14th, we're going to be drawing one person to win $250 who follows the rules.
Man.
Yeah.
These are pretty good prizes, huh?
Yeah. And what we're doing is we don't give away our token in any way, shape, or form, because we don't like to hold our token in the investment wallet. We literally burn everything we buy. So we're giving away the money in ETH. And then if you choose to invest that in the project, great. We appreciate that. If you choose to use it for whatever, even if it's to buy groceries for the family, go for it. You got to do what you got to do with the money that you got.
On a related note, you're over 5% burnt already in the last couple of weeks. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We are at 5.39 at 57% burned.
And the burn wallet is probably, in my memory, there's the Uniswap wallet, the staking wallet, which flip-flops in number 1 and number 2 space. Mm-hmm. And then there's the burn wallet after that.
Yes, sir.
So just so that other people understand, there's been a serious ongoing commitment to the burn. There's not necessarily been a burn every day, but mostly every day. And there was a pretty substantial burn a couple of days ago, like a full percent. I want to say 10 billion plus tokens were burned.
Yeah, it was 0.8 of an ETH at that time. It was 10 billion, 800 million. And there was 2 reasons why we did that. One, I had some built up from my other investments. And I said, look, we had somebody sell combined like 1.2 ETH. And then earlier in the day, we had somebody sell a full ETH. And I'm like, I want to make as big of an impact as I personally can on our project. And I talked to Ben and I talked to Teddy and I said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and, make this happen. And so working with them, because again, we're an amazing team that really does have that cohesive communication. Let's just go ahead and burn what's left in the investment wallet, which was 0.8% at that time, or sorry, 0.8 of an ETH at that time. And so it brought us back up, pretty decently. And then we had a couple of other people buy in after that, which made me happy, seeing like, hey, these folks believe in what we're doing. They continue helping us grow. And then we go from there.
Yeah, it's always great to watch. You can always or typically count on at some point in the day, a burn from the team. And when you see that and people follow those burns with buys, it's a real community effort. And you can tell that the team cares in the community, even though small at the moment, is pretty passionate. Now, on community size, one of the things is because you have the staking opportunity, there are a lot of bags that don't show up in the Etherscan report.
Yep, you're correct about that.
Do you have an estimate about the total holders at the moment, if you have a way to calculate that on the back end with what people are staking plus the people who maybe either are not staking or have not staked their entire bag? Like, what do you know?
So I know that Dex Tools isn't necessarily an accurate reflection of holders because they don't pull in, centralized exchanges and stuff like that. But since we're only on Uniswap, I'm going to say that that's closer to our total number of holders than what's being reflected in Etherscan. So Dex Tools is saying around 228 holders. I'm going to say we're probably right around there, between 200 and 228 holders. And I can tell you, looking at the list, I'm not on the list because I've staked my entire bag. Talking to Ben, he has staked his entire bag. Teddy has staked pretty much his entire bag, so he's still on there. But even, friends and family who we've talked to about the project, not from a, hey, this is our project, invest in it, but a, hey, this is an amazing project that has amazing potential. We think you guys should buy into it as well. They bought into it and they've all staked, when talking to just everybody in the community. Like, that's our goal, is to get as many people staking as possible, because you have that ability to double dip. And that's why that staking wallet is up to 26%. It's over a quarter of our actual tokens have been staked. And just to speak on integrity real quick, when creating those staking pools, I kept out, at the time, I think it was 4.5% of the tokens before launch, and that was to feed the staking pools. And so I talked to Brew Labs, and Brew Labs gave me the recommendation for, how many tokens to put in each pool based off of APR and stuff like that. And it ultimately ended up being less than what I withheld for the staking pools. And so I had a surplus of, I think it was like 500 million or 5 billion. It wasn't a huge number in any way, shape, or form, but it was still quite a bit. And so I immediately turned around and I burned those as well, because I didn't want anybody to question the integrity of the project, saying, hey, why did you keep out this 2.5 billion? Like, you said it was a fair launch. So just to make sure that we were transparent, we were honest about what we were doing, that immediately went to, and it was 2.5 billion, went to the burn wallet even before we had launched.
Yeah, I noticed that was the first burnout, and I didn't know the reason for that. Thought it was a odd number, but I wasn't there for day one. I believe I joined the project in day 2. Waiting because I wasn't aware of the launch. I was waiting on the it probably wasn't day 2. I don't think so. Anyway, it was first few days, waiting on the sell off that typically precedes that first candle.
And you're not wrong. We anticipated that as well. And I'm actually happy with where we were sitting after that initial sell off. We ended up going to a high of right around 6.029, 6.030. And then we dropped down to 6.020 around day 2. Right. And then, we had a little bit of a sell-off when ETH took its dip, and we've built back to a pretty solid foundation from there. So I think you got in at a good time, and I see it just continuing to, improve the position.
With that said, I've asked a lot of questions, but maybe there's something I have not asked that you would like to share with the community. And,
definitely.
Yep.
So in talking to the team, because we are like a family over here. We talk about literally everything before it comes out, and then we present it to the community if it, seems like something that we'd like to bring to fruition. We teased it yesterday, but we're thinking about a flip to earn concept. Because, even on our white paper, we put that we didn't want to do a play to earn. We don't want it to be, a game that you have to progress through and you have to do all these things. And, you bring in your NFTs and all that. Like, that's being done, and it's being done a lot better than what we could ever do. But a flip to earn concept is something that we thought about because it's kind of engaging and it builds on that flip mentality that we have. And so this is something I'll talk with, through here, and you and the folks that are watching can provide feedback and be absolutely enamored by it. But the thought is you connect your wallet to our flip to earn app, game, whatever you want to call it. You can bring X number of tokens over that you want to use in the platform. Let's just say, 1 million tokens, right? And then you bet on this flipping game. And so I bet, let's just say 5 flip tokens. And when I flip, if I win, I guess heads or tails, I double up. And if I lose, those tokens are burned.
That's really cool.
So it's different. I haven't seen it out there. And again, it continues to build on that flip mentality and gives folks an opportunity to earn even more, but also burn even more.
That is really cool. I mean, people like games of chance, having an opportunity to win, actual tokens that have monetary value while playing a game is something I think has great potential. So that's a great idea. Hey, you guys keep cranking out the great ideas, man. This project's gonna be something sometime really soon. It's gonna be a force.
And I can't take credit for that one. That one was all Ben. But the cool thing about it, and this is where I liked it, is that guess where we have to get the tokens from?
Uniswap.
We have to buy them from Uniswap. Because again, we don't have team preloaded bags. It's all the stuff that's actually in the Uniswap pool. So yeah, it'll help us continue growing, which I like.
On a related note,
yes,
only because you brought up the Uniswap and not having team bags, somebody who does not know the team is going to probably want an explanation for that. I want to say probably the number 4 wallet. It's got to be
20BB.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm not asking who it is. I just want to know do you have any information that you would like to share with someone that says, don't be afraid of that wallet. There's nothing going on there. So
I can tell you 100% hand over heart, swear on my father's grave, which he's still alive, that 20BB is not somebody from the team, nor is it anybody directly related to the team. I have seen 20BB in other projects, and he has been a very respectful investor. I have not seen him dump his entire bag on any project that he's invested in. And based off of the fact that, I actually posted in our Telegram and said, hey, 20BB, I would love to see you stake some. I'm hoping that he reaches out or she reaches out and says, hey, I want to take you up on your offer for helping me stake my stuff. Teach me how. And I would be more than happy to do that. But yeah, this person, like I said, if you look at the actual wallet in there, because I spend time and actually look at what's going on with their project and other projects that these wallets are invested into and stuff like that. And this guy, if you look at his transactions, again, isn't a mean or greedy investor. He's been invested in some pretty solid projects like Saitama, and even then he held a large bag over time of Saitama. And so, yeah, I don't have concerns about him or her. I think that they're a long-time believer and they're just looking for a safe place to park their funds that they know will continue growing, and they believe in the mission and vision of what we're doing.
With that, the growth piece in the investment, I want to get back to, is there anything that you can say now? I recognize that your investment strategy or plan or platform is proprietary, but what can you say about the investment plan strategy arrangement?
So this is how I was explaining it to the gentleman that I was talking to earlier today. We are not looking for investing in the next moon, because investing in the next moon for our token investments that we're doing with the flip token investment funds, it's intended to be more like that Walmart strategy. We're investing as heavily as we can to, or as quickly as we can to, in these projects that, based off of that AI and quantitative analysis, will provide us, 1 to 4% profit. And, as we continue to do those microtransactions at volume, that's where we're continuing to grow. I've said it before in our Telegram, and I know I've talked to you about it privately. Like, we haven't had a day of loss since we've started doing this actual process. And on average, we're earning between 1.5 and 2.2, 2.4% on those investments. And so you'll continue to see things growing based off of this style of investing that we have. And again, we do these microtransactions so we don't negatively impact the projects either, because we're not looking to tank anybody. We're not looking to hurt the community in any way, shape, or form. And it's not a front-running bot, because honestly, front-running bots piss me off. They do. They're stealing dollars out of people's wallets. And so we're not doing business in that way.
Yeah. So a good comparison, a good analogy would be that you're almost guaranteeing success in the investment wallet by playing small ball, singles, not swinging for the fences, but you're getting on base, and that's allowing you to have some positive output pretty much on a regular basis.
Yep. And to paraphrase my high school sports coach, when you stick to the basics, you have a much more consistent performance. And oftentimes you'll have a much better time out there, because you're doing what you know really well, and what you know will help you succeed.
This is great. So what you're hearing, folks, is that this team is not, investing your money in startups and random things trying to moon today. They are going with tried and true, maybe arguably blue chip crypto or even non-crypto investment vehicles that are giving returns on a regular basis that will, I won't say eventually anymore, but because they are now being used to conduct buys and burns on the chart.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And again, just to reiterate, we're not using all of the income every single day to do buys and burns, because that doesn't make sense. It's not going to continue growing that pool.
Correct.
And when our volume goes up, yes, we'll definitely use a more significant portion for the buys and burns. But right now we're stable, and we're happy with being stable, because the market is an absolute bear market. And if we can come outside of the other side of this bear market with a similar position, or even an improved position, that is a heck of a win.
If you can win in a bear market, you can win anywhere, right?
Yes, sir.
with that, you talk about you once gave. I asked a question about where do you see the project in terms of the benefits of the investment wallet in the coming months, and I don't believe you answered that question. It might have been Ben that answered the question, but I'm quite sure you guys have the same answer. So if you could maybe give your um, prognosis of where the investment piece will be in terms of the impact that it can have on buys and burns in the next month, in the next 2 months, in the next 3 to 6 months.
Definitely. So in the next 30 days, if we continue at the trajectory that we are with no additional volume into the project in any way, shape, or form, the investment wallet itself will be sitting around $35,000 roughly, and that'll continue producing at that point in time about $800 a day. So it'll continue up from there. And again, that's with no additional volume. If we continue to grow, that number is going to go through the roof. Within 60 days, we'll be sitting at about 55,000, and again, that's going to be pulling in $1,100 to $1,200 a day, roughly. Within the next 90 days, we'll be sitting on 70 to 75, and that's going to be pulling in almost $1,700 a day. And so that's with no additional volume being pulled into the project, no additional outside investments into the investment wallet, none of that. It's just self-sustaining. And that's why we're confident that this project will continue growing, because our pot continues growing, because we're able to use those funds to continue doing the growth mechanism that we've created, which is those buys and burns. And realistically speaking, those numbers are based off of reinvesting half of those funds daily, not the entire pot, because we want to be able to use the half of those funds to continue doing the buybacks and burns. If we talk to the community and they say, well, just continue putting, the entire amount in and forego the burns, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, because it helps bring that chart up, right? Especially when people decide to move their investment elsewhere, which ultimately is going to happen, but it's going to grow twice as fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So with that, do you have a goal in mind? It's June, it's mid-year. 6 months, it's Christmas time. Yeah. Where is your projection for market cap and the percentage of flip tokens in the burn wallet?
Yeah. So around Christmas time, if again, no additional volume into the project at all, which you and I know is far from happening because of just the daily volume that we've had, we'd have $200,000 to $215,000 in the investment wallet. That is pulling in roughly, I'm going to say $4,800 a day. So that would be an ETH and a half burned and an ETH and a half reinvested if ETH stays around the same price.
Right.
That's not bad financially. Now, as far as market cap goes, you and I both know that that's like, rolling dice and seeing where it hits, because if we continue in this bear market, I would love to see us continue to grow and be around, $500,000 to $1 million market cap or more with just our buybacks and burns.
Yeah.
And if we continue to grow and if, we get the right eyes on us and everything like that, honestly, I mean, we can go the way of some of these other amazing projects out there, like Colt, or something like that, where they're sitting at, I think last time I checked, hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Their market cap's at 56 million, and 56 million seems like a huge jump from where we are, but in the grand scheme of things, it just takes the right eyes on the project at the right time, and we won't stop until we continue to just go absolutely crazy. And then with regards to the burn wallet, again, we're burning right now 0.1% per day, roughly. And so you're saying 180 days. I'm saying that I'm going to continue trying to push that even further and further along. I would love to see by Christmas time that burn wallet, at least around 15%. And it could be higher depending on how we grow, but that would be my goal.
So what I want to say for listeners is that it's a win-win if you think about either you get in now and it's a fast growth, and because you got in early, you can take the parabolic ride, should there be one, or you get in now and it's a slow growth, but because it's slow and the investment funds are not necessarily predicated on, or let me say, the ability to have the investment funds act on your behalf doesn't require new investors, which means if the market cap stays low for a while, the investment funds will eventually have an impact that will be great on a small market cap. So either way, whether it's because a lot of people have bought in all at once or in a short period of time, or if it's because the investment funds are being used for buybacks on a small market cap, now you're going to likely have great success in investing in Flip Token. Would you think that's a fair assessment?
I think that's a fair assessment indeed. And again, if you choose to hit your goal, let's say you want a 10% increase and we increase 10%, and you want to pool and, pool your profits and move it elsewhere, we aren't going to get mad at you for that. That's part of the game. That's part of crypto investing and investing in general. Yes, we would love to have long-term investors. Yes, we think that, the longer you hold, the more money you're going to make. But we do realize that this isn't the end game for everybody. They don't want to sit in a project for 6 months until Christmas time and hope that it goes up 10x. I do think that if we continue doing what we're doing, and if the market sees the work that we're doing and we work with the right people, we could easily see 10x. That's not very far away. You're talking 199 total ETH to get there, which in the grand scheme of things in the crypto market isn't much at all.
Yeah.
And then continue going from there. It's going to be a fun ride for sure. And we are definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, you want to have long-term holders, but I always say if you're not selling, you're not investing. You're just, I don't know, holding doesn't equal investing to me.
No, you're riding the roller coaster.
Yeah, pretty much. Sell responsibly. Sell if you're holding a big bag, sell on green candles. You know the whole deal. Sell in small pieces. Don't wreck the chart. Be mindful of those that are still trying to get to a certain destination. Remember, respect the project. And of course, either way, make sure you leave behind those taxes for the rest of us.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Abe. But if you don't have anything else to say, man, we've chatted for a little bit over an hour. We want to make sure that anybody who comes back to listen to this that's not listening live isn't overwhelmed by the time of the recording. So hopefully we'll get a chance to speak again. And if we can do so, maybe we'll speak with some other members of the team as well.
Yes, sir. And I will be working with them on getting their setups for the next AMA. And we'll schedule it for a time when everybody is available, because yes, I would love to have the other voices on here with me. It is not just my project. It is our project, and it is the community's project. And we are, and I've said it before, we are doing what we can to make this the best project for all of our investors.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything that you've done, and thanks for being here, and we will talk soon.
Yes, sir. Take care.